Okay, we're in part 3 of our series, Manifestation Process. Today we're looking at the idea of embracing your desire. Several years ago, after when Beth and I moved here, one of the first projects we engaged in is filming the wild horses up on the Little Book Cliffs Wild Horse Range, and that was a pretty incredible experience. And we did that over a period of 8 months. We would go up there every weekend and camp, and we'd try to find the wild horses and get them on tape. And then the year following that, we had to have another adventure, and so we went around looking for all the petroglyphs and all the rock art that's pretty thick around here. And one of the places I went by myself on one weekend, because Beth was doing something else, but I went to 9 Mile Canyon in Utah. How many of you have been there, 9 Mile Canyon? If you go to the end of it, it's a 9-mile trek, of course, and you'll see all these pullovers where every time you see one, you look up and there's a new panel that you can see. And it's all different kinds of, different eras of the ancient past here. But at the end of the canyon, there's a famous panel called the hunting scene. And what you see is a herd of, I think it's the desert bighorn sheep, and they're surrounded by the Native Americans with their bows and arrows. And the sheep are coming toward the people with the bows and arrows. And what I think this is, and you have a kind of a place you sit, it's like a big screen TV, only it's a rock. And what I imagine was happening in a setting like this is the hunters, before they would go out, would gather at a place like this and just get a visualization of the success they wanted to experience. And I think that the idea of seeing before you manifest has been around for a long, long time. And of course, Jesus talked about it many years earlier than that, but it's a universal idea that we have connected our thinking, our visualization, with our manifestation for a long time. And so it's an important thing to kind of revisit from time to time. We are all living with a vision. We're living out of a vision all the time. And we don't always think about that because it's such like a knee-jerk reaction. We'll start thinking about something, our thoughts will take off, and we'll have a hard time controlling that if we are aware of the importance of keeping our attitudes positive, our thoughts going in a certain direction. How easy it is to get sidetracked, to get off, and to totally destroy our peace of mind as we let our vision go to places that we really don't want to go. So I think it's been understood for a long time that we want to use this faculty of imagination in a way that works for us. And that was the impression I got as I stood under this hunting scene. Was it was designed to give a picture of success. And again, that's why all of the bighorn sheep were coming toward the hunters. It's because it's a guaranteed success. And there was also a shaman, at least people think that that's what it is, this horned figure that's in among the group, which is a spiritual element. It's just a way of depicting, in my thinking at least, bringing the spiritual idea into this. We're starting with the invisible. That's what the word metaphysical means. It's beyond the physical, and it means the source of what we see is beyond the physical. It comes out of things that are not seen. It comes from a realm that's not seen. And I've pointed this out as our individual lives. Every one of us here have an individual life. It has our fingerprint on it. And we are subject to the opinions of other people, to the thoughts of people. We're bombarded with media these days, but our life doesn't unfold like everyone else's. It unfolds like ours. It's unique to us. We have a unique circle of friends. They all have some kind of relationship with us that's different from all of the other relationships they have. Two people can know the same person and have a whole different experience with them. That's all part of our consciousness. It's part of the vision that we carry. And we can say, I wish I was somebody else. I wish I had somebody else's life or whatever. But if we would move over into the life of another person, and suddenly we came into possession of all the things they have and all the things they're doing, pretty soon that life would look just like our life. It would become our life. Because it's all vision, it's all consciousness. I've said before, it's like buying a new pair of shoes. Pretty soon they start looking just like the old pair. They take the form of your foot. And it's the underlying influence that's there, and the underlying influence in us is our consciousness. It's our whole belief system. We can change our thinking, but that doesn't necessarily mean we've changed our beliefs. And I have said also that our beliefs rise out of the self-image, how we see ourselves. And that's a very important thing. That's why the spiritual thing becomes an anchor to us, is because when we touch that deeper reality in ourselves, when we touch the changeless, we touch the soul. That becomes the rock upon which we build this house of consciousness. And it is unshakable when the winds come and the rains and all the storms, everything comes. We're not so easily shaken by what we see on the outside, because our self-image is built upon, or our consciousness is built upon the soul, upon the rock of the soul. It's an easy concept to talk about, but not such an easy one to observe when we're coming out of the self-image. We're coming out of this level of ourselves that we've learned, that's part of our upbringing, part of our family, part of our gender, part of our body, the whole body identity, body-centered identity, and the history that we carry with us. We tend to think that's us. We tend to think this thing that surrounds us, as unique as it is us. But that is the effect. And so that's what we're looking at here. When we are seeking to change our lives, we're really seeking to see ourselves from a new perspective. And not from an invented perspective, but from one that comes up from within our being. As Jesus said, it wells up like living water, an eternal well bubbling forth, an eternal fountain of life that bubbles forth. What meditation is all about is erasing who we think we are, letting all that go, and allowing what we are at the soul level to present itself. It's really that simple. What is difficult is that we're so engaged in the outer stuff that we can't help but run over here and try to fix this problem, run over there and try to fix that problem. You try to still your mind, and it's very surface oriented. It's always thinking about things, the next thing it needs to do. And that's why I think it's helpful to have a program like this, a 5-step program that we can use as kind of like a train running on tracks. We can stay on track. We define the vision that we would like for our life, and I've told you I've done that with myself recently. I did it like a year ago, and I've redone it. And it's I use the PowerPoint program because I love the ease of use of it, how you can find all these gorgeous pictures and put words on them and affirmations and all that. But to keep it very simple, but to define the life you want to experience. Don't talk about how much you don't like the life that you're in. Think about where you want to go, kind of thing. And this is a way to help redefine that. So the first step that we took in this whole process is I form a clear picture of my desire with the understanding that by so doing I impress this desire upon the creative life force, or this creative process that is manifesting as my life. So to form a clear picture of your desire is It's a way of just asking yourself, how would I like to feel about my life? How would I like to feel? It's not necessarily about, well, I'd like a new Mercedes. I'd like to live on such and such a street. I'd like to have this and that thing. I'd like to have a pile of money and all of the things that I think would make me happy. Focus instead of that on the me. How would I like to feel? What is it I'm trying to achieve in terms of my own peace of mind? That's where the work really needs to be done, because if you have a self-image that is struggling, your goals are going to be centered on what can I get in my life that'll make my self-image stop struggling. That's going to be the focus, and that is praying amiss, as James said. It's missing the mark. We ask for help from these kinds of things outside of ourselves. We get them, and I still feel miserable. I still don't feel like I'm whole. I feel something's missing. It's not to say that we don't have obligations, we don't have needs in the outer domain. We certainly do. But what is the purpose of me trying to get that into my life is so I can be happy, so I can be peaceful. So when you're thinking about the vision for your life, you're really thinking about, how do you want to feel? How do you want to experience this planet? And that is from a free point of view, from a free experience, from a free place. And that's really what we're after. It's Emerson talking about going to someplace and thinking that he can leave his sad self behind, and he wakes up in the new place, and lo and behold, there is his sad self. He took it with him. And we do. We take our sad self every place we go. So it doesn't take a lot of thought to figure out, if you're going to fix your life, it's that sad self. That's what needs to be fixed. Haven't you ever been in some really raunchy surroundings, some really raunchy situations, and you found that you're still okay, you're still happy, even though that was there? When I was a ministerial student, we went to Detroit on a class trip to visit all the churches up there in the area, and there were some very interesting churches. But and we went to some multi-million-dollar facilities, big, thousands of people in a couple of them. I don't think they're that large now, but the one that impressed me more than any, it was a black woman, a black minister, and I didn't know her at the time. I have gotten to know her since, but she had an inner city ministry where a lot of our congregation, half of them had been stabbed on Sunday morning. They were drug into church through the week. I mean, she said people would be shot, they'd be stabbed. All kinds of horrible things happened to her ministry, her people. And she said it's just a constant thing. But that woman was, as she talked, she had an aura about her. I've not seen too many auras around people. But she was so alive and so into that ministry, into helping those people at that level. It was incredible. It made me feel almost ashamed that I would come to a place like this. That she's on like the front line of a level of humanity that most of us just can't even imagine. But that was the ministry that got my attention, in terms of, here is a person who is just absolutely giving, not only giving her life, she's risking it to be there. And she was so alive and so enthusiastic. I saw her a couple of years later at Unity Village, which it's a very nice setting, a very beautiful setting, and I didn't recognize her at first because she didn't have that light. She wasn't in her element. So sometimes we think we should get away from things, and what she was a demonstration to me, what she demonstrated for me was, it's not the environment. It's what you unleash from within. So when you're talking about setting a new direction for your life, you're really setting a new way to see yourself. You're agreeing to allow that to happen. And the way that you open that door, because we already know how to do it. But most of us have become so entangled in this body-based identity that we have become disconnected with that. We're trying to make ourselves happy when we're missing. We're not in the picture. And that's an impossibility. So what the whole idea of meditation is, again, is to bring yourself back, drop everything else. Say, who is this me that I am? What is this? What is this level in me that is crying out to be unleashed, to be let go? We want to know what that is. We want to know who that is. How would I feel if I were totally free? That's your soul. The response to that is your soul. I would be free. And the truth is, we are free. And what we want to do is get back to that point of strength, that center of freedom, and then define our life around that, not the other way around. We're always trying to fit in someplace. We're always trying to be popular. We're trying to get ahead in some way. But as Jesus said, I mean, that's why I think he was such a spiritual genius. What difference does it make if you gain the whole world, but you lose your soul? That makes so much sense when you lose your soul and you realize it. You understand what that means. If you've lost yourself, you've lost it all. If you're trying to fit in for the sake of others, for the sake of show, or for the sake of whatever, it just doesn't work. So you're trying to fit in, and you're trying to, it's like when I was trying to play football in high school, I think I weighed a grand total of 98 pounds or something like that. I should not have been trying to play football. But everybody was doing it, and all the popular kids were doing it. But it was a disaster for me to do it. I was not good at sports. The only thing I could do was play ping pong. And it's a lot safer. I got hit head on playing football one day, and I woke up and everything was green. And I took my shoulder pads and turned them in that day. I just said, it's not worth it. It's a brain damage I can get trying to be something I'm not. That's a hard row to hoe. When I first discovered who I was, or started discovering, was on our senior trip. I was playing my guitar for a group of kids, and a guy walks by and says, how would you like a summer job singing in my club? And so suddenly I went from ex-football player, ex-loser, to the star of the show. Everybody thought that was just phenomenal, that you could actually make money singing. And I did. So it was like it's better to be yourself. It's better to find something you do, find the place you fit, instead of trying to build a life around this insecure football player that has no business being on the football field. But that's a lot of our life, and that's just my story, my experience. I'm sure you've all had your own. But I know how hard that is. And I know what a relief it was to finally walk off that field and say, no more, I'm not doing that again. I don't have to. But the coach said I was a quitter. And I was. But I didn't quit something that was good for me, or good for him either. I was not a good football player. But there's this attitude that you've got to stay there and just get the heck beat out of you no matter at all costs. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's why we came here. I think we all have our place. We all have a place that works for us because that's why we came. But we're not asking ourselves, who is this me? Who is this true self? It was a great day when I realized that my true self is not a football player. What a relief that was. I hated going out and getting my head beat in every day at practice. But we do that. And we get beat up in ways that, have nothing to do with physical contact. But we're trying to fit in, this round peg into a square hole or whatever that is. Trying to fit into something we're not. And it just doesn't work. And that there's something in us that knows that. It knows it's not working. It knows there's another way, and that other way is not necessarily out there someplace. It's in here. And when this in here, when we agree to let it come out and say it's okay to be who I am, then the out here falls in place. Seek first the kingdom, and the rest is added. I think that's another one of Jesus' genius statements. So we formed a clear picture of our desire with the understanding that by so doing, I impress this desire upon the creative life force, upon the expressive aspect of God, however you want to put it. But we're doing that right now. We have a picture of our life, and the question is it the one we want? So as I have said before, when I was trying to play football, my solution to a better life would be to build up my body. My brother ordered a Charles Atlas muscle building kit that, as you can see, did not work too well. But we dreamed of building up these huge muscles, so we could go out and be the star players on the field. So that's the prosperity from the self-image. It would be make myself so I can fit in there, instead of saying or realizing I don't fit there. True prosperity is failure as a football player. You see, and we don't like that. You're not prospering if you're building up your muscles and you're not a football player. But we pray for things that solve the problems of the self-image, not the soul. And we want to get in touch with the soul. So that's what form a clear picture of your desire. That's, what do you want? Who are you? Who is this you that needs to come out? So we do that, and as I said, spend time doing it. Don't just spend 15 minutes writing a few things down. Take a month. Take a year. Take as long as you want, as long as you need to get in touch with who you are. I understand that I am working with spiritual law, with calm expectation of a corresponding result. I know that all necessary conditions are coming about in proper order. So you say, I don't have to be a football player, I'll be who I am. And with calm expectation, you just kind of wait. I took a few hits when I quit. But over time, a whole other thing unfolded. It's kind of amazing how it works. But it's very simple. There's no lightning strikes or anything that come down out of the sky. It's just normal, everyday stuff. Be true to yourself, and all the rest follows. It's a very simple idea. Okay, so that's where we've been. That's the first two steps. And step 3 today is once you get this sense of who you are and how you want to show up on this planet, you enter your daily routine with calm assurance that conditions are either present already or will soon present themselves. If you do not see evidence at once, know that the spiritual prototype, that is your desire, is already in existence. And that's a very interesting attitude to hold, because again, it's like planting the seed. You don't see any changes for quite a while because something's happening under the ground. But you begin to say, this is who I am. This is my vision for my life. This is why I came here. This is what I'm all about. And so you get up the next day and everything looks the same. All the people treat you the same. Everything's the same. But instead of saying, well, it's just not working, things are not working so well, you have this attitude. You enter your daily routine, the same daily routine that you always do, with a calm assurance. The conditions are either present already, as if right now something's changed, something's open. And the condition that might be present is just this click in your own mind. I'm not a football player. I don't have to be. I'm something else. That can be a present condition. It comes at all levels. And that realization, that's like shutting a gate and going through another one. Seems like a simple thing. I'm not that. I'm this. I'm more, something else. So the conditions are either present already or will soon present themselves. And that can be through ideas, through inspiration, actual things to do to support your vision. If you do not see evidence at once, know that the spiritual prototype, your desire, is already in existence. When you plant a seed in the ground, you know it's there. And that's what the prototype is that Troward is talking about here. It's your desire. It's this picture you hold of yourself. It's extremely powerful. Can you imagine the Native Americans out hunting, and it appears there's no game out there? They may have very well flashed back to that scene to remind themselves what they saw chiseled into that rock. Yes, I can do this. Yes, things are unfolding as they should. And they must have done pretty well because they were around for quite a while. So I can't really even imagine eking out a living in some of the places we've been where they used to live. But they knew how to do it. It's pretty incredible. When the Pharisees asked Jesus when the kingdom would come, he pointed out that the kingdom is already present as a potential within each person. And again, that's spiritual genius, is he understands or understood the value of vision, the value of what is going on in your consciousness. The Gospel of Thomas says the kingdom of the Father is spread out upon the earth and men do not see it. That is absolutely true. You think about this whole universe that we live in. Does something need to happen to finish it up? Or is it complete now? There's always going to be tweaks. There's always going to be things changing. But we think we're moving towards something that's greater than where we are now. But the fact is, right now is it. We're here. This is it. We're not done, but this is the only place we can live. If you think you can get out of this moment, try it. 99% of the people are trying to get out of this moment, living somewhere in the future or somewhere in the past. But the universe is working perfectly right now. If you said, God, would you fix the universe? Would you make it better? Nothing would change. It's already good. And that's what we don't appreciate. The kingdom of God is already here. What does that mean? The answer that we seek is already here. We're just not tuned into it. So that's the point of this exercise, is let's tune into it. Let's act as if. Whatsoever we ask for in prayer, let's believe we have received it. Because if you don't believe you've received it, you can't see it. You won't see it. You won't look. The implication is that the kingdom will manifest in accordance with the individual's level of expectation. The kingdom is as present now as you expect it to be. That's the truth. If you're waiting for life to get better, start affirming, I am whole and free at this moment, and my life is a demonstration of that. And you begin to see things that you didn't see before. When you think of your desire, get the feeling that it's complete, even if you see no evidence to support it. Your vision and your accompanying feeling serve as the blueprint from which the manifestation evolves. By holding your vision, you become attentive to unfolding possibilities. And we see that in the woman who lost the coin. She swept her house clean looking for it. She knew she had the coin. And that's, I say that a lot. I use this illustration a lot because it's so important. If she wasn't sure she had it, would she have looked so hard? Would she have swept her house clean if she thought, well, I think I had 10, but maybe I just had 9? There's a whole different attitude when you think you may have lost something and when you know you've lost something. She knew she had that coin. If she couldn't remember whether or not she had 10, she would not have put the same kind of energy into her search. That's the kind of conviction I think we're looking at here, is not, I wonder if this will work. The conviction is you hold a vision, act as if the thing you pray for has come about. That is, sweep your house clean. Work with the attitude that you have already. That which you desire, that greater good that you desire, is now coming forth. That's a whole different conviction than, well, I've been working on this vision board and, I read all about it and it's inspiring, it's exciting. I wonder if it'll work for me. That's a whole different attitude. You go into it assuming you're working with divine law, that it is at work at this moment. This woman was, she's coming from a level of conviction, and you can understand this. We've all been in her situation. Have you ever been working on something? I have a tendency to put a pencil behind my ear if I'm working on around the house on a construction thing where I have to mark things and saw them and whatever, like I'm doing right now. Well, yesterday I was looking all over for that pencil. And you know where it was. I thought, this thing has disappeared. And so I reached up to adjust my glasses. There's this dumb pencil. I don't know how it got there. So what if you, and here's the thing, I know pencils don't disappear. So part of me is like, maybe this is a first, I don't know, but it's like, part of me does not accept that pencils disappear. So I have a different level of conviction. I also know that I'll come across, have you ever been looking for something, you look every place for it, and like a day or two later you walk over and there it is, right where you left it. I think that's what Meister Eckhart said. He said, God is right where you left him. Think about that for a little bit. So if you know you had something and you lose it, you misplace it, you've got a conviction. And that's very different than, did I have a pencil or not? I can't remember. Well, I know I have one. Think of your desire as the equivalent of having the manifested version. And that's the idea of, the hunter scene, see yourself in the picture. How would I feel if this were true? Don't be frantic about looking for evidence of it, not like I was looking for my pencil. Pretty soon you get where something's happened here. The more frantic you get, the less likely you are to find it, I have discovered. So don't be frantic about looking for evidence for it. Just go about your life doing what you need to do while holding your desire in the back of your mind as a completed fact. That's why it's important to get up like every day and look at whatever you've written down, whatever pictures you've made, whatever you've put together. It's a reminder of where you want to go, and get yourself involved emotionally. How would I feel if this thing were exactly as I'm seeing it? It's very important. There's a certain excitement that accompanies your vision and the feeling that it's now present. But don't allow this excitement to drain your energy, and it will. It's as easy to get your energy drained when you're happy and excited as it is when you're down and depressed. Don't allow the excitement to drain your energy. Follow Troward's suggestion of calm assurance. In due time, the evidence that it is coming forth will show itself. Okay? That's step 3. We have 2 to go. So we'll pick up next week here where we left off. I hope you're having a great weekend. Hope it's a very meaningful time for you. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for sharing yourself with us.